Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. And today I have with me Nicos Vekiarides, probably
Ve-
pronounced your last name halfway correct. Uh,
Vekiarides. It was very close.
Vekiarides with Attestiv. And Nicos was on the podcast before to talk about Attestiv. That was episode 197 back on May of 2020. Well, and actually, it went live May of 2020. It was probably recorded just before the pandemic. Um, it does seem like a long time since then, given I like to say that the 10 years of COVID have felt long, just no concept of time anymore. So, Nikos, how's it going today?
It's good, and you're right. It feels like it's been ages. So it's great to be back here. And yeah, things are going well, and I think there's been a lot of changes. I guess industry wide since the pandemic that have actually kind of created more of a need for what we do.
Okay, and at the time when we last chatted, you were going through plug and play. You're now you've gone through plug and play. That continue to be one of your investors, but you're kind of out on your own, actually doing this.
That's correct. So at this point, we've had experience with customers.
Mm.
We've kind of drilled through real world data. We've kind of seen what it's like, and it's interesting. Sort of coming out the other side is we found more than we really expected to find in
And then
terms of.
actually, let's pause for just a second. Okay, so for those that haven't listened to this episode, so you guys are an insure tech in the
Mhm.
SIU space, and you use blockchain to prevent insurance fraud by authenticating images, basically figuring out whether they are real, haven't been modified, are from the right time frame, the right location, kind of thing, right? That was the model last time we chatted. So what have you seen since then, as we went through this crazy pandemic?
Yeah, so we've expanded our model since then. So we use the blockchain for tamper proofing. So that means the instant that you take a picture, we can tamper proof it or essentially commit uh, a an identifier to the blockchain that identifies the bits in the image, sort of the pixels, if you will, and the metadata, like you mentioned, the time, date, and location, and we make it tamper proof. And we've also been building on top of that. We've been building AI models that analyze the images even further. So we've gone from having a couple of models last time we talked to uh, dozens of models that all run in real time. So it's very seamless. So we've expanded that way in terms of growing our product.
So what do the new models do?
Oh, they check various things. They check for anomalies in the metadata. So time, date, location. Sometimes backdating the photos. It also lets you use photos that haven't been tamper-proofed. So what happens in out there in the real world is someone gets into an accident, let's say, in their vehicle. They photos, but how many remember to open the insurer's FNOL
Of
app,
course,
right?
yeah.
And so I can do my first notice of loss. Well, it doesn't always happen that way. You just pop your phone, take a few photos, and suddenly those photos are arriving via email. Someone has to process them. So they can't always go through this controlled process.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we provide all of this analysis regardless of where the photos come from. So that's sort of a big expansion to what we've been doing.
Okay, and are you finding uh more appetite from the carriers for this now that their traditional claims processes have been disrupted by people not being in the office?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've seen in the past couple of years is a lot more self-service claims, a lot more touchless, if you will, happening. And what that means is a lot more claims are being settled on images alone. So if nobody's actually going out there and looking at the asset to determine the damage and you're just relying on photos, it does open the door for different types of fraud, uh, ranging from photo editing to synthetic media, the deep fakes, if you will. All of that suddenly becomes a lot more important, and for insurance carriers, just weeding that out. But the other thing is when you're so reliant on photos, sometimes just the quality of is bad. We've seen some embarrassingly small photos being used to settle claims, thumbnail size photos being used to settle claims. Uh, and I think where we come in is not only can we weed out the fraud, but we can also put in a consistent, repeatable process that gives you higher quality photos. In fact, one of our models is image quality, so we handle that as well.
Okay. Um, Synthetic media. I had not heard that phrase yet. So
Hmm.
I heard about deep fakes, kind of in the political space, and the possibility of them being used in the last election. I don't think that they actually came into play, but basically using AI to create videos or photos or whatever, to give the wrong message about a candidate. How are they being used in the insurance fraud space?
Well, it's interesting. If you Google around, there are sites where you can kind of create images of vehicles. You can create images. So it's using GPU technology. So it's an interesting use of GPU technology, but there's AI trained models that can produce fake images. Now the problem with fake images is they're not really altered, right? I mean, when you're producing synthetic images, they're not really altered. Nobody's gone in and changed them. They've been created this way as if they were produced by a camera. So you can essentially go online and you can find these sites where you can create an image of a vehicle, an image of a vehicle hitting a tree, or
Okay.
whatever you want to stage for
So
your accident.
so GPU technology. So I'm a gamer, so I know what a GPU is, right? So
Yeah.
so so basically, the graphic card in my computer,
Yes.
the same stuff that's being used to mine crypto, but neither here nor there. But okay, so basically, what you're telling me is that the graphic power in computers has become so good that it can fake an image of a crashed vehicle that would fool an adjuster that doesn't have the right tools to find that this is not really a photo.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the technology, if you see these photos, you'll say, well, if you look at them closely, you might say, well, I think there's something wrong with this. But the problem is all of these GPUs are getting faster, better. The AI training is getting better. So it's only getting better over time. So what doesn't quite fool you today uh, probably can fool you in about a year.
Okay. Okay. Are um are you at what stage of the, so you've gone through the accelerator, they put you in contact with some companies,
Mhm.
uh are you at the pilot stage with some companies, or are you at the full-on production stage with
Yeah,
some of the
we're in
clients?
production with we're in production with some companies. We have customers like ACD, who's a claims TPA. They do auto claims and they're using us for their claims. And then we are in pilots with some of the carriers. As you know, they tend to move a little bit slower in terms of adoption. But on the other hand, I think what the current environment has done is it's made every carrier look and realize that well, if things are going to be changing to be virtual, we need to put a little bit more scrutiny on the digital media, the photos, the videos that are coming in. So we are getting a lot more traction there. One of the areas that we've really focused to improve adoption is we started partnering with the insurance systems. So back in October, November, we launched our partnership with Guidewire. So
Fantastic.
we are, yeah, so we're building, so we're working on essentially integrating in the future with them. And actually, we have since uh, we've also partnered with Duck Creek, and I guess by the time this podcast goes live, we will have announced our module on Duck Creek. So essentially, you can click a button and have all of the photos in a claim be validated for you.
Okay, so that's a game changer for you guys right there. Basically, Guidewire and Duck Creek, by the time the carriers are done with their transformations, let's say in the next 3-4 years, maybe most of them will be done. I would guess uh, something like, I don't know, 60-70% of PNC carriers will be using one of those two systems. So at that point, you're able to literally plug and play with
Yeah,
the
and
majority of carriers.
Absolutely, and that's the strategy. Certainly, I come from an enterprise IT background where we've been selling a lot of technology directly to end customers, and the insurers, they're a little bit more selective, and they prefer to have fewer vendors. And by embedding our technology in the vendors they already use, it makes it a great way to find adoption.
Yeah, that absolutely makes perfect sense. Yeah, the carriers are slow, and not only they're slow, they have limited ability to manage 10,000 integrations, and there's so many things out there, right? That if you're part of Guidewire, if you're just an extra charge within Guidewire that I can activate, or that I can activate. Uh, and I haven't asked you so what's the revenue model, um, if I'm a Guidewire customer. So if I have Guidewire, is it an extra subscription, or is it a per image kind of use?
Yeah, our revenue model in general, I mean our pricing model in general is a per image, but it goes down in volume. So it ranges anywhere from, if you're using us at very low volumes, from 50 cents to, perhaps even under 10 cents per image that we process. So it gets the more you use it, the less expensive it is. So we have, I think we have a model that fits just about every budget, and I think we provide a lot of value in return. Just the fraud reduction alone, we've seen 50x or so ROI. But the other thing is just the automation. If you're thinking about straight through processing that's going to happen in the next 5 years, let's say, what do you do to get ready for straight through, right? Sort of STP ready. If you're STP ready, you need a system like this to be able to tell you that the data that's coming in is good.
I love how you're very much a technical guy and not a sales guy. You glossed over, we see 50 times ROI. If I'm a sales guy, I would be leading with that. So that's pretty fantastic ROI. And to be honest, like, I have literally hundreds of insurtech founders, sometimes the technical person, sometimes the salesperson, whatever, come on the podcast, and we don't talk about ROI too often. They don't bring it up too often, and I haven't been specifically asking them for ROI. I tend to ask for success stories, not for ROI. So
Yeah.
uh, is that a very high ROI within the claims and SIU space? or no idea
It is.
because nobody.
It's a high ROI. I mean, it's an excellent ROI. I think the interesting other side of that is well, if 5 to 10% of the claims are found to be fraudulent, what about the other 90%? And then I think that's where there's another piece of the puzzle for ROI is that, well, if 90% of, if you get to a point where 90% of your claims are good, so we can deem them valid, then think of the amount of money you can save by going through a straight through processing automation, using AI for your appraisals and so forth, instead of having intervention from an adjuster. So there's an even bigger ROI on that side. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about the return on investment on this product, and I probably don't always do a good job of highlighting it, but there's a lot of gains there, whether it's on the fraud side or whether it's on the side of automation, and saving on costs of processing claims.
Okay, and so it helps you right away prevent fraud, and it also enables you to improve your claims process for the future, basically by making sure that the inputs that are coming into the system
Mhm.
are valid.
That's exactly right, and we aggregate the results into a report for the entire claim. So if a claim is if everything is clean, you simply see that, and nobody really has to look at all of because we have a lot of great drill downs. You can see exactly what went wrong. Was this a photo of a photo? Was this downloaded from
Oh,
somewhere?
that
Was the date changed? But to an adjuster, they probably only care about, is it good or is it bad, right? And if you're for an STP process, you only
mhm.
care, is it good, or should I give it to someone to inspect?
Yeah, no, and you bring up a very good point. The whole black box issue of AI. In fact, I should be making sure I bring that up every time I have AI insure text on the podcast, because in claims it's definitely important. We need to be able to tell the client why we're denying something, why we're declining
Mhm.
something, right? We need to be able to communicate to the regulators why so something is being declined. So we do need the system to not only identify but also tell us it's an image of an image, or it's been photoshopped, or it's generated by a system, not a camera.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Um,
so we
mhm.
give you all of the detail, but also at a high level, because it's all API driven, we can make it drive a process where, for 90% of the photos, nobody has to look at anything. And that's a great thing too, because now you can automate and have that confidence that you're not losing the money that you're saving in automation, you're not losing it in fraud.
uh, very important, very important indeed. So once you're integrated into Duck Creek and Guidewire, what else is on the roadmap that you can share? What else is coming in the future of the product?
Well, we have part of our technology is fingerprinting, which puts these identifiers on the blockchain that essentially make the photos tamper-proof. Now it turns out there's a lot more that these things do. Is one thing that fingerprinting is good for, which we use today, is duplicate detection, right? So now again, duplicates are another problem, right? If you have duplicate photos across carriers,
Yeah.
uh, then people might be filing the same claim across carriers, and
hmm
that could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
fraud.
yeah.
But how do you do this without actually sharing the photos between carriers? Well, a system like ours doesn't have to share anything, right? It's just that fingerprint matches, and it's on a blockchain,
Ah,
so you don't have
okay.
to look and see what's on the other side. There's still a firewall between the carriers, but now you know that, hey, this photo went to another carrier. So things of that nature. The other thing about fingerprinting is we've expanded it to be more attribute based. So we have some new technologies that actually will fingerprint based on attributes. So it's not just a perfect match is, hey, photos are alike. And so what can you do with this is, well, what does an accident with a Ford Explorer look like? When a front end accident on a Ford Explorer look like? Now you can actually reference other photos that way. Just to see and be able to spot trends and put them in a context of this is what a fraudulent claim looks like. This is what a good claim looks like. So we're really expanding on that whole idea of fingerprinting. So there's a lot of good stuff that's on the way that will help in other ways. It'll help with fraud, but it'll also help sort of index and better monetize. You know, all of these images that carriers build up, they can be monetized, whether it's to help their business or for other ways.
That monetizing the claims uh digital exhaust
Mhm.
without endangering privacy. That's a concept I truly have never heard. So let me see if I understood you correctly. Okay. So
Mhm.
claims is a cost center, right? It's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
It's the product that we sell, but it's where the costs go out the door, right?
Mhm.
Um, okay, so so you're not doing what Google would do and basically give the service, collect the data yourselves, and
Mhm.
then sell that data in whatever format you can. But rather, like the carrier now owns that
Owns the data.
metadata in the background.
Yeah, they own all of the data and metadata. What happens is we create these fingerprints, and the fingerprints can't be reversed back to the photos, so no one
Mm-hmm.
else can get access to this. But what happens is now you can get this global view across all of the carriers if you opt in, where you're not looking at photos, but now you understand what duplicates, and now you also can do that for your own data, where you start to understand, well, hey, this is how we better identify a fraud, as it may have these particular attributes. And the fingerprint itself is expanding to store some of these unique attributes as well. So yeah, it's a way to create value out of this big cost center.
That is fascinating. You are literally the first person. I want to say 270, maybe 275 episodes we've recorded because we're significantly behind from posting compared to recording. And I've never had anybody propose a way to make claims into recover some of the cost that goes into it. Uh, so yeah, completely new concept there. Very, very, very interesting. Um, and when this goes live, uh, there'll be a link to your LinkedIn and to the Attestiv website. Are
Mhm.
there? So I'm sure that you can sign up to see a demo or whatever there. Um,
Of course.
Assuming that Omicron, you know, trends down and that we don't get another that we don't get another variant keeping us from the conference circuit. Any idea? Are you going to be? Are you planning to be on any of the spring conferences? Uh, uh, uh,
Well, we are.
Connected claims or anything like that?
I mean, obviously, we're hoping for the best, and we're hoping there's not a new wave. We actually made it out to ITC, so I think you might have met with some of my team out there, and I think that was a good conference.
It
I
was a
think,
very good conference.
all things considered, I know some of the big carriers were absent, but on the other hand, it was great to get in front of people again, and uh, uh, I almost forgot what it felt like to get in front of people and have
It
face-to-face
was the great
discussion.
return. It absolutely was, and it wasn't as big as prior
Mhm.
years, but it was still close to 5,000 people. Uh,
That's right. So that was great, and so we are signed up for Duck Creek as well. They have a conference, and we're looking to have some events this spring. So nothing in the very near future, but the events are still on, and we're hoping things trend downward with the pandemic. Maybe this is the end. But regardless, it has brought a lot of changes to insurance, which have advanced things to the automation, the touchless, and the self-service that have created an even bigger need for our products. But of course, we're hoping it ends soon, just for the sake of everyone's sanity.
no kidding, no kidding, I think uh, a lot of the changes, the positive changes that we've had with insurance finally embracing uh, a digital future, and on my side, on the employment side, the rise and hopefully never disappearance of a lot of work from home opportunities in our industry. It yeah, it is a new world. It's a new world, and I can't wait to be done with this. But I'm the positive changes are definitely have definitely pushed our industry forward. So it's yeah, it's an interesting world we live in. So thank you very much for joining me today, and getting us an update on Attestiv. Uh, Looking forward to hear as you're fully integrated with Guidewire and Duck Creek, and the number of carriers that have access to it, explodes exponentially.
Oh, thank you. We're looking forward to it. I think we found some great new avenues to market to make this easier to integrate. So certainly, and hopefully we'll see you at some of the upcoming conferences
I
later this
will
year.
definitely be at ITC, and we'll see what else I can get to, but definitely ITC. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again, Tony.
Anytime.